Her triumphs, I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them. Her trials,
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
her story,
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here is your host, Lauren McLean.
Today's guest is BYU Gymnastics' Elease Rollins, who started her collegiate career as a walk-on and grew into the beam queen, one of the best beam specialists in the country. Elease, thank you so much for being here with me.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited.
Okay, so when you introduce yourself, do you ever tell people, nice to meet you, I'm Elease, and I'm an All-American in gymnastics? Do you ever say that?
No, that usually comes later in the friendship.
You're really missing out on an opportunity. What was it like becoming an All-American, though?
It was really exciting. It kind of came like throughout the season. It wasn't really like one moment. So, I mean, I kind of like not necessarily saw it coming, but I was like, oh, I might get it. And then I got it. So that was cool.
It's amazing, an incredible feat that not very many people get to do. And how wild is it to think that you ended up as a second-team All-American on the balance beam last year, and you started out your career as a walk-on? Is that kind of crazy to think about?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I knew that I was pretty good at beam, but like I didn't really think I would. I don't know. I knew I was good, but like I didn't know that I could make it that far, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of fun to see where I've kind of made it now that I'm here in college. So,
well, let's talk about your gymnastics journey and coming to BYU. Lots of parents get their kids involved in different sports, and most of them start out with soccer or basketball or even tumbling. How'd you get involved in gymnastics specifically?
It was when I was 3 years old. I had a ton of energy and I was always climbing on stuff, climbing trees, our countertops, and just doing cartwheels. And anyways, too much energy. And that's soccer and gymnastics are like the only sports that you can put your kids in that young. So they put me in both, but obviously gymnastics is way more fun. So kept up with that instead. So
that's really funny. Did it work? Did it kind of hone in your wildness putting you into gymnastics?
There's pictures of me like passed away so tired after practice when I was like a kid. So definitely
your mom's
worked.
Like, yes, it's working. So did you, when you started gymnastics, was it really fun for you? Was it something you loved?
Yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, it's still so much fun. Like getting to do flips on, in a gymnastics gym, there's nothing much more fun than that. So
that's what all of us pretend to do when we go in there. You do a lot more than that. When did you move from having fun at a young age with gymnastics to your love of competing as a gymnast?
I started competing like pretty seriously in 4th grade, and that was when I like became an optional, which is just like the higher levels. But I don't know if I loved competing until I got to college, where I kind of like was less nervous and made it more fun, and it's just more rewarding in college.
So as you were getting closer and closer to graduating from Copper Hills High School in West Jordan, Utah, were you hoping to get an athletic scholarship so you could pay for school and keep competing in gymnastics?
Yeah, I really wanted a scholarship, of course, just like anyone. But when I was a sophomore is actually when BYU like gave me my offer, and they offered me a walk-on right away. And I like, of course, wanted a scholarship, but I kind of understood why I wasn't getting one. Like I only was really good enough on one event at that point, and they usually give scholarships to multiple event athletes. So anyways, I kind of like, of course I really wanted one and I was working towards one, but it just wasn't, I knew I kind of wouldn't get one before starting at least.
Okay, that's super interesting. So because you were kind of a specialist on one event, they didn't give you a scholarship, but were there other schools recruiting you at that time?
Yeah, I had a few. SUU reached out to me. Utah State also did for a little bit. They both reached out to me, but I actually was pretty excited about SUU too, but BYU is just the right choice for me. So,
Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit. Why, when these other places are recruiting you, and Utah State, who has a gymnast that you look up to, why did you feel like BYU was the place for you?
um, Utah State, I never really wanted to go to, mostly because it's in Logan, Utah. Just super cold and far away from things. So I don't know. I never really thought to go to Utah State. But SEU, I was really interested in their gymnastics program. They have like awesome coaches and the team's nice and fun, but just the area, Cedar City was really small, SEU is really small, and I kind of just wanted it to be more of like a college feel that BYU kind of has, just where like the football games are huge and there's tons of people here. And so anyways, I ended up choosing BYU because of more the environment here, but then I ended up also loving the coaches and the team a lot. So
Totally makes sense. So when you got to BYU and you see the other gymnasts and what they can do, were you in the back of your mind like, I can do this? Did you feel like you were as good as some of the other gymnasts that had a scholarship?
um probably not. I definitely felt intimidated like coming in because I came from a really small gym and a lot of the girls were like really good. And so I was kind of intimidated when I first came in here.
So when you first started practicing with the team, were you trying really hard to show Guard Young that you deserved to be there? Because you mentioned that you were intimidated, that a lot of the girls were really, really good. Do you feel like because of that you put in extra work, or how did that first season go?
The first season I feel like tried to play to my strengths, especially like at the very beginning when I first started practicing at BYU. I would only do the stuff that I was really good at, and or not really good, but like felt like I was good at. And so I would kind of do that a lot. And then I started to work on things that I was also struggling with. But I kind of, I guess I was like trying to improve myself a lot, but I also was still I was still a freshman who was nervous and kind of figuring out life and gymnastics in general. So I don't know. I guess I did want to prove myself to them, but I was also still nervous a lot. So
Your first meet was against Nebraska. What do you remember about your first meet as a BYU Cougar?
I actually didn't compete at that meet.
Okay.
So I remember, like, of course, being super excited because I was a backup still, so I got to warm up and stuff. But I remember being really excited and like excited to be ready and stuff. But then I remember thinking, like, this is so pointless. I'm getting all done up and all dressed up for like, and I'm not gonna compete. So I kind of remember being sad about not being able to compete yet. So
Well, against Denver and Illinois State, you scored a 9.9 on the beam. What was your feeling scoring that high so early in your college gymnastics career?
yeah, that was my first 9-9 ever. So it was kind of like the I don't know, jump like the score that I was always like, that is a big score. And so when I finally, or like when I got a 9-9, it was really exciting. And my team, like all were super excited with me and they were all cheered for me. So it was so fun. It was a good feeling getting that.
So when was it that you finally earned that scholarship that you'd been wanting?
I earned it after my sophomore year. So going into my junior year.
Okay. How did you find out that you were going to be on scholarship?
They actually, it was kind of fun. I have a video of it because they were like interviewing me for media and stuff. And they were just asking me questions about like normal life stuff. And then my coaches walked in, and I had been working really hard that summer, so I didn't know for sure if I would get one, but I like was really hoping for one. And so when I saw them walk in, I was like, maybe. And then I got really nervous. And then my coaches told me that I had a scholarship, and I just like started crying and was like, thank you so much. And so it was so fun. It was really nice of them, but yeah, it's all on video somewhere. So
Oh man, I can't even imagine. What an incredible feeling. What were your parents and your family members' reactions when you told them you were getting a scholarship?
they were all super supportive. I think my parents were more sure of me getting it than me, because I don't know, they're like any parent who thinks their daughter is the best in the world, I guess, which I'm not, but they were like expecting it, I think. But when I finally told them, they were really excited, and I tried to keep it a surprise type of thing, but I just told them right away. So
I love that. Every parent should think their kid is the best in the world. That's fantastic. Yeah. So you were a walk-on for 2 years before you got a scholarship. Did you ever in those 2 years feel like quitting or going to a different school?
Not going to a different school, but I remember going into my junior year, and that was when I was really hoping for a scholarship and thinking like, I need to work. I don't have enough money right now to afford like school and rent and everything. So I was like, if I don't get a scholarship, I either need to really beg my parents for help or get a job. So I do remember that, but I didn't really think about quitting before then.
I feel like that's an aspect that a lot of people don't think about with walk-ons. They have to put in just the same amount of time as those on scholarship in their sport and in school, and then you have to work a lot. So that's extremely difficult on you in a lot of ways. So you mentioned that when you found out you got a scholarship, that you cried, you were so happy. But what did it mean to you when you earned that scholarship?
Yeah, it meant a lot, because I guess I stressed about money a lot, and I had been working before the past like year or so before then, but I wasn't making enough money to like earn. It was just to like kind of pay rent type of thing. And so it was just like relieving too, because I knew I could take less hours at the job that I was working at, and I don't know, kind of get to spend money more freely. So that was exciting too.
You've been nicknamed the Beam Queen. When everyone thinks of a queen, that's like the top dog. What does that mean to you to have that nickname?
I don't know. I guess it's cool. I don't know. People mostly call me that on social media. So,
well, with that nickname has come some amazing performances. What was going through your mind when you earned a 9.975 against Stanford and Sacramento State?
That one also, I like kind of was just doing a normal routine, and it felt really good, honestly. Like I knew that there was like very little mistake. It felt like a really good routine, but I didn't really like, I try not to look at the scores during the meet, because it just helps me focus on what I have to do. But that time I did look, and I don't know, it was crazy. I can't believe I got 110 at least from someone, or from one of the judges, but it's exciting.
2022 was definitely your year. You were the MRGC Beam Specialist of the Year. You were named WCGA All-American. You competed in all 13 meets. What was the secret to your success?
I made goals at the beginning of the season, and I just kind of kept working towards them. I feel like I didn't do one specific thing that I hadn't done the year before, but I just wrote down those goals, and I kind of just kept up with the workouts and tried as hard as I could on every day, and it just kind of eventually fell into place meeting those goals. So
how have you channeled your success in 2022 to continue on in 2023 during your very last season?
I've kind of used those same like techniques, I guess, that I have used before. So I have like different pre-meet stuff, and anyways, I just kind of do the same routine, and I try to use the confidence that I've gained in past years for this year too.
You perform in vault, beam, and floor, and you specialize in beam. Has that always been your favorite event?
It used to be in club, but now I tend to say that I like vault or floor more.
Oh, okay. Why? What changed?
I love beam still, but vault and floor is just more like, this sounds so cocky, but like I feel like I have more to work towards on vault and floor, which is kind of more exciting. So
that doesn't sound cocky at all. That sounds like you're driven. That's a wonderful thing. So is this your last season at BYU, or do you want to come back for one more year?
Yeah, I have a COVID year, and I actually have another year of school. So I've told our coaches a few weeks ago, actually, that I'm for sure coming back for another year.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. What made you want to? Were you just not done with gymnastics yet? Where you're like, let's keep doing this as long as I can?
Yeah, I feel like you don't get the rest of your life to do gymnastics, especially in college. So I was like, if I have another year of school, I definitely want to do gymnastics because I'll never get to experience this again. So
are you still majoring in elementary education?
Yes.
What advice would you give to athletes who at first may not get scholarships, or athletes looking to try out after not getting recruited? What advice would you have for them?
I would say, like, anyone can get it. Like, I would say most people wouldn't assume that I would get a scholarship based off of like how I was in high school and even my freshman year. But like, if you work towards it and keep up with like the numbers and the assignments and stuff, you have just as much of a chance as anyone who, grew up and already had a scholarship. So
I'm here with BYU Gymnastics, Elease Rollins. Elease, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your story. Incredible that you started as a walk-on, and now you are the captain on the team with a scholarship. So congratulations with that, and good luck moving forward in your season.
Thank you so much.
Coming up next, we talk to BYU basketball head coach Amber Whiting about the ups and downs of her first season on the job. On a previous episode of the podcast, we talked to Cougar basketball head coach Amber Whiting about her life leading up to getting her first college coaching job at BYU. The regular season has now wrapped up and has been a bumpy ride for Whiting. On the Cougar Tailgate podcast, Cleon Wall and I talked to Whiting about her first season on the sidelines.
At the first, I felt like I was drinking from a fire hose, like it was just a lot. But then you start getting into a rhythm of how you game prep, how the girls play, and learning each other. And then we went on I think it was 7-game win streak, right? And I felt like the girls in that point in time, like we really learned a lot about each other and came together in a lot of hard moments during games. And then as of late, we've been more inconsistent, and I feel like a lot of that is like the grind of the season as far as, wear and tear on their bodies or, the mental side of it, playing so many minutes and whatnot. And so I'm just trying to make sure that we stayed locked in, and we finished strong, because that's more important. They've worked so hard since June 1st, right? And so I don't want them to fall short of what their goals are. And so that's just where we're trying to stay right now in the mindset.
What do you think you've learned about yourself in this first season? You have coached before. It's not like you've never coached, but this is your first time coaching, college basketball. What do you think you've learned about yourself and also about the process of being a college basketball coach?
Trust my gut. Like I can't, there's a lot of times where, there's media, there's noise, there's everything out there. And I've learned to trust myself and trust my instincts, because sometimes they're good, but if they're not, then it's me at the end of the day who has to answer for it. And if I try and rely on somebody else or something that's going on, then I'm always going to be, wanting that moment back. I wish I could have changed this, or I wish I could change this. If I would just trust myself, then if it goes wrong, then it is on me, and I can at least look in the mirror and answer to myself.
I love that. That makes sense. You mentioned that there's been a lot of up and downs this season. You had a 7-game winning streak, and then it's been a little inconsistent. But what's been your favorite part about this season so far?
Going to battle with the ladies that I have. Like, they give me 110%, and when they don't, or when they're too tired, or when they're like, they aren't trying to miss shots. They aren't trying to throw the ball away. And so just being able to go to battle every single day with them, and they're the type of women that have really bought into what I want as a culture, even as of late. I mean, changing little things like our study hall habits and things that I want done in practice, or, the effort and energy that I want. They just really buy into it, and they give you everything that they have. And so that's been my favorite part of getting to know them, and just being able to coach these type of women.
Well, other than talking to us, what's been the most difficult part about the season?
Non-sleep.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Just kidding. I'm used to that. That's a basketball season. Difficult part. Ooh, I think when you get out on the road and you're gone for like 4 days or whatever, staying in a routine on the road, so then everybody stays at their best. I feel like that's a difficult part. And just the managing of people, so many people. That's been a huge thing for me to get to understand, is because everybody's adults, and so I am managing a lot of people. But at the end of the day, like, I want everybody to also enjoy their jobs, and so it's like there's a fine line between being too hard and expecting too much, and being their friend. So.
And speaking of managing people, you have a family and 2 kids that are playing basketball right now. How much is your family shared in the ups and downs of your first college basketball season with you?
We eat, live, and breathe it. And so somebody asked me, because me and my husband, anytime our dates have become when we go running in the mornings together, because we don't have time. I don't have time past 7:00, so we go running early. It's like 6:30, and we've made it a thing now to, let's not talk any hoops. Like, let's just talk about kids, or about, like, we're trying to build a house, or about his job and things outside. And for a couple runs, it was pretty quiet. So we're trying to, does that make sense? Just have a balance.
Yeah.
But my kids, they just realize, like, we have family FaceTimes on Sunday nights with my son who's at Boise State, and just getting those little moments and making time for each other. Like, every game day, there's a group text with us, like on his game or my game or whatever, just to make sure that we're staying connected, has been really important to my family, because you got to have a base. And when you have hard times and you struggle, like, that base is what you come back to, and that base is what builds you up, or you turn to when you're going through a hard time. So I just really feel like they've been really good to help me and support me, but also be that base for me too.
Has it been difficult for you because you haven't been able to go and watch your son play basketball because you've moved down to Utah and you've got a job now? And has it been hard for you a little bit just to be able to support him from afar?
I've gotten to probably 4 or 5 games of his, because sometimes he'll play on Tuesday nights. And so it's nice for me to get down and back to Boise. But like, he played in San Diego when we played in San Diego, but I was so stressed about our game and what we had going on in the game prep that my husband and my daughter went to his game, and I just watched it on TV. But we always circle up, like, because I have Synergy, so I have all his games. So we got a couple mom-son film sessions on FaceTime. And it's, you got it. Like, we hold our kids accountable, and that's one thing that, I'm not going to ever let slide. And so, and I don't see him doing 110% of what I know he can do, then that's where we're going to sit down. And so, but we've always circle up and we circle back, and I haven't missed a game on TV with him playing. So
that's awesome. So not only are you coaching your own girls at BYU, but you're also coaching your own kids. You're really busy right now. Your daughter Amari is going to play for you next season, but she tore her ACL and she's now recovering. How have you been able to help her out with all of that?
I probably haven't been the best help. Trent has been like when she first tore it and she had therapy every day or was going to, he took her to everything because she couldn't drive because it was on her right knee. But he has been that rock for her. I do know. And there's been times where I've slipped away to watch her do the underwater treadmill or to watch her do therapy or whatnot. But now she's with us this semester, and she's with our strength and conditioning guy and our trainer, and she is in the gym, and just like having her, I don't know, like her voice in the gym, like, 'cause she's really loud and she, you know, what she does. And she brings kind of, a light to what we're doing. And so just having her support there helps me. But then on the flip side, like after practice, I can stay and rebound for her or, you know, put her through a dribbling drill or whatnot as she's progressing. It's been nice for her and I, but we also try and make the time outside of practice because I don't ever see her unless I make time outside of practice. And so, but it's been fun to have her around just the little bit that she is there. And just to see her working and progressing has been really good to see too.
Because she's already enrolled here at BYU, right?
Yep, she started in January.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the players on your team right now. Lauren Gustin, she's just been a workhorse for you this year. Leading scorer, rebounder. How has she handled being the main woman this year?
I think she's taken it on, but she's grown and prospered in it. And I just feel like every game when she goes out there, she's that motor that doesn't quit. And so I guess I expect it from her now, right? And so there's some games where she's been a little bit not as, like, I don't know how you say it, like inserting her will as much as I would like. And so I've had to jump her a couple times, but I very rarely have to do that with her because she just goes and gets it done. And she knows her job and she just does it night in and night out. And she's been really reliable for us. And I know when we have a scoring drought or whatever, there's 3 or 4 plays I can call that we can go inside to her, and it just gets us going.
Is this something that towards the beginning you're like, okay, Lauren, we need you to do A, B, and C, like this kind of falls on your shoulders, or has she taken that on herself?
I talked to her about how much she does need to lead us. And when I talked to her, it was more like early on in the season, it was more like from the vocal point and like the example point of being that hard worker, right? But as games have started and progressed, like she has surpassed my expectations for her. And to the point where it's not, she's like a cheat code down there. It's not fair sometimes to have her in there and doing that, but I wouldn't want to play against her, that's for sure.
She's got one more year left. Are you hoping she returns for her senior season? Has she talked about leaving it all?
We've talked a little bit about it. I've tried to keep them be where their feet are, right? But you also look to the future, and I've just expressed to her a lot of times of just how much we need her, how big she's going to be, and to be going into the Big 12, that's a different challenge in and of itself, and just to be able to go take that on and have fun with it. And I'm hoping and praying that she wants to stay and come back. So
I'd love to see what Lauren Gustin could do in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Nani Falatea. She went from being a bench player to being your main ball handler. How has she improved as the season has progressed?
She's really improved with her. She's always had really good court vision, but then her decision making has improved a lot, and being able to sometimes in games early on, the experience, like the young experience, would show itself. And so now I'm like, Nani, you got to go get the ball. We got to go through you. And so now she's realizing that and taking that on more and more, and not letting teams, like, if they're going to press us, just, give it up to somebody else and run down the court. Come back and get it. And we work through you. And so it's been really good for Nani to grow this year. And I've seen huge places of her growth, not just in scoring, in a lot of places. And so that's been really good to see.
You preached defense before the season even started. Has your team bought into your defensive philosophy?
I think so, for a long time. And that 7-period stretch, we kept teams, we always under their scoring averages, right? And so there's 2 or 3 games I think that come to mind that I wish I could take back defensively. We weren't there. And so when we go back to practice that on Monday or the next day, that's what we dial back down to and play hard, tough-nosed defense. Because if you don't play hard in practice, it's not coming out in games.
My last question for you is, I want to know, what has been the number one improvement made by your team from the start of the season up to this point, looking back on the regular season?
I would say the chemistry. They love each other off the court. They really do. But they've never played together on the court in high-pressure situations. And so the chemistry will come when they can turn in and look to each other and lift each other up. And so I would believe the chemistry for sure has came on court.
We're here with BYU women's head basketball coach, Amber Whiting. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you got a really, really busy schedule. So good luck on the rest of the season and heading into the tournament.
Thank you so much.
You can download and listen to all episodes of Her Why on the BYU Radio app or wherever you find podcasts. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.